Hello everybody and welcome to a quick video. It's finals week for me, so things have been a little crazy, but I did want to put this video out. This is Dragons Dogma. This is a Capcom game that we'd previewed a little bit, but really the only thing we've seen from it is when they said, Resident Evil 6 beta is going to be included as a pre-order bonus, and I was like, maybe. I don't think it's worth $60, but maybe. But they released a demo last week, and I hadn't got a chance to look at it because I was busy shooting my new show, Arcade Antics, and if you haven't checked that out, please do so. But I went in and I actually enjoyed this demo. Keep in mind this commentary is post, so if it's a little off, basically it was post commentary because they were doing some yard work in my backyard and tons of saws and stuff. So anyway, let's get started with Dragon's Dogma. So I'm going to walk you through the prologue, the countryside quest, and the character edit. But we'll start with the character edit here. You can see I already touched this a little bit by the time I go in here and get this footage. But the character editing system was actually very in-depth compared to what I would have expected from Capcom. So you see here you can pick your name, your monkier, your gender, your voice, height, weight, all this. But I already had done a female character, just to pick what was going on here, and I did make her an archer. So that's what I kind of did with this. Now, you can see here you can edit faces, hairstyle, face shape. And there's basically 40 of each customization option, which is awesome. They're actually extremely different, so there's tons of variety. You can really make a character here that feels like your own, which I was surprised, because that's a Dragon's Dogma. I've never really heard of this game, you know what I mean? Besides Resident Evil 6 betas in it. So I was really impressed with the character customization. It felt kind of like Dark Souls. Now, given I didn't play Dark Souls a ton, but I did enjoy Dark Souls nonetheless. I don't even think I own it anymore. I just got a copy from a friend to check out. But anyway, so you can see that everything here, you have numerous customization options. At least, I want to say 20 options per thing. As far as your ears go, you can make it like an elf-based character, or you can keep it like a human-based character, which is pretty interesting. Now here, edit body is pretty typical, but this is kind of interesting. Posture and stance. So you can make yourself ladylike or macho. And I thought that was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that. The posture as well is pretty interesting. Basically, it's your back posture. You can stick your chest out to be more imposing or go back to be more timid, which I think is pretty interesting. There's scars, wrinkles, makeup, color adjustment. Basically, everything's here, and there's more detailed customization with all of these things. Your height, weight, etc., etc. The only thing that I was really kind of antsy about was the fact that there are no sliders. It's all presets, and what I mean by this is you have plenty of options, don't get me wrong, but there's no sliders to kind of make it your own, so that was a little anyway, this is the basic information. I found this interesting. First you pick your gender and your name. Now you actually pick your name for that character, and I just did Abby, but the monkier is interesting. So if you enabled parental control on this game, so your kids don't interact, and deal with all the swearing and blood and stuff, you actually activate monkier names, and they're very generic. Eagle, Ace, blah, 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 blah. But that stops your kid from, engaging with this online world if you want to keep them out of it. They don't really know who they're talking to and stuff, which is interesting, especially if there's some inappropriate gamer tags. Anyway, but I thought that was cool. So here, these are just presets, and you actually get to pick a preset as you're scrolling through, and you can look at them in armor and stuff. Now, I just stuck with mine, but it's kind of cool that they let you preview this. As far as voices, again, wow, I'm talking fast. There's only really 6 voices, so nothing you can do. Now you see here I'm pulling up pawn customization. Now, pawn is actually interesting. Pawn is like your permanent companion. He's your buddy. Now, you give him a name. I just did Avi2, because I was trying to be pretty generic here, but I was doing that. And then you pick a monkier for him as well, and he's like a companion that follows you around all the time. Now, you have the complete character customization for him too, which is kind of cool. So you get to make 2 characters. Now, I'm not really sure. There wasn't too much interaction between my pawn and myself, but I'm not sure what it's going to play out like. You see here, these are just some of the armor sets and how they look on the male characters, which I wanted to show off. But you can tell there's definitely a variety of characters. With this character customization thing, you can make some pretty interesting looking characters. And I was actually kind of impressed. It felt like a perfect blend of Western and kind of that Asian-like feel in a video game, And maybe that's just me talking, but I could definitely tell so. So I go in here, I edit. One thing I wanted to point out too is the eyes. Now, the eyes are pretty stereotypical, but you can adjust the eye color and the left and right eye color. So you can have a blue eye and a white eye or a brown eye and stuff. And I don't know why, I've just never really seen this in a video game, so I thought that was extremely interesting. You can kind of make a crazy looking mystical character. So I go in here, I close, and I go back to the main menu, but that's just a look at character customization. Then I actually hop into the first quest, the Prologue quest. The countryside quest was interesting, but you'll see that one later down. But we're going to hit the Prologue quest first. So I'll let you read through this. Basically what happens is there's a giant dragon, and you're what's left of an army that tried to attack this dragon. And this is interesting because it says, in another place, in another life, another child of man blazes your path. So I wonder if there's going to be like alternate dimensions and stuff, because you notice I'm not playing as my character. My character is the female archer. Here I'm playing as kind of like a male warrior guy. But you see the inventory system here, very much like Resident Evil, and I actually got a kick out of this. I loved Resident Evil's inventory system. It was, you know, how I learned how to organize stuff. As stupid as that sounds, I actually had a college professor who's like, "Where'd you learn to organize your stuff? Because, you know, it's pretty interesting how you do it." And I was like, "I'm not even kidding. I learned it from video games." So, fun fact about my personal life. But the lantern here is pretty cool. You put it on your belt, and it kind of helps keep darkness at bay around you and see in some of these dark areas. I thought that was kind of interesting. Normally, you don't see these. The most medieval RPG games that kind of come to mind with me was Oblivion, right? And Skyrim, and I could go on. But with that, it's really torches. There's really no lanterns, and you can't really have functionality. And the one thing that popped in my head when I actually equipped the lantern, I was like, huh, well, this is kind of like Amnesia, because it actually is an oil level and stuff, too. So it interests me to see kind of the detail level they're going into. So the buttons and attack system are pretty standard. It's you see all these tooltips popping up. B's pick up, Y is your heavy attack, X is your light attack, left triggers your sheath, and right triggers your grab, and A is your jump. That is a big dragon, is it not? And you will notice one thing. This game feels like Shadow of the Colossus. At this point, I was like, oh my gosh, so much is going on right now. So you'll have these smaller enemies you're going to be fighting, but it's based on killing these big monsters, which is awesome. And it gave me that Shadow of the Colossus feel, you know what I mean? You have the 2-3 buttons and your different weapon mechanics. And, of course, you have armor customization and all these pickups and stuff, too, which is cool. I didn't see too much of it in the demo, but, you know, seeing that big of a dragon that quick up, I was like, oh, this is kind of awesome. Now, what you're looking at here is me kind of messing around with the different attacks, trying to get a feel for them. But this is your Ancestry Stone, and what you can do with this, excuse me, Rift Stone is the proper term. You can summon your pawns from this, and apparently you can get more than one pawn. Now, these pawns are actually extremely helpful. They feel like kind of a party system. What this really reminded me of was Dragon Age, and if you guys have ever played Dragon Age, you have a party of a few people. Simple commands, you see go, come, help, help. Pretty basic. But they all throw spells, they heal you. It was really cool, and then you also notice in combat, they'll help you. The knight specifically, Sald, he will grab goblins and hold them up and say, come kill him, like that he is right there. And constantly through combat, you're going to see these slow motion kills, which are kind of cool. I enjoyed them. I just hope the camera will be a little more fixed in the final game, because it was a little iffy. Another thing I looked at, and you'll see me later in this demo trying to turn it off, is all of these chat pop-ups. Now, I don't mind them. Don't get me wrong. It's part of the game. But I was sitting here kind of like, oh, they're taking up half my screen, so it's a bit iffy. Now you see here, this is an allusion to a big boss we're going to fight later on. Very crazy, but we'll get into that. You are going to fight 2 big bosses in this demo, which was pretty impressive. Now, you know, the run animation right there was a little sketchy. But you notice it's got a dark feel. Dragon's Dogma is a really dark feel to it, and that's what surprised me. With this, I was expecting something like Dragon Souls, but not as well put together or anything like that. And I was surprisingly impressed with how put together this game was. You see here I'm fighting harpies, right? Combinations of females and birds, which was extremely interesting. And there's actually a glitch here where one of the harpies gets stuck in the wall. You see Sald there. He's like, oh, I gotta get there. But, you know, nothing's there. So it was pretty iffy. But, I mean, I was so impressed with the fact that you have all these different, you know, epic jump. You have all these different enemies and stuff. And the variety that they put in the demo surprised me. You're fighting goblins as a dragon. There's there's like super goblins, as you're going to see here in armor. There's harpies. And, like, these all have specific abilities that are really cool. It makes it feel kind of like a cross between an action RPG and then a like MMO kind of based game because they'll have effects they can put on you. You see there, I use the grab, and I can actually grab enemies, throw them at objectives, and throw them at other enemies. Or grab them so my teammates can kill them. Now, I'm not sure if this game's going to be multiplayer, but imagine having a 4-team multiplayer really working together. I think that would be interesting. I don't know how the camera would work, but it'd be interesting. So, the Harpies can actually come down, and you see Quince say there, beware of the Harpy song, and these are those effects I'm talking about. The Harpies can actually put you to sleep, and there's other enemies that can do the same. They can stun you, put you to sleep, grab you, and you also see my teammates doing those same kind of effects. The Harpies are flying enemies, right? So what one of my teammates did while I was sleeping here was saying, you saw the slow-mo, and it'll say, I'll provoke it. So you can actually use abilities to provoke the Harpies into coming down and attacking you. You saw Saul there banging his shield, trying to get the Harpy to come down, and then we finished it off, which is really cool. It was really ecstatic to kind of see some of these things. Now, one thing I wasn't expecting with Dragons Dogma is to have so much going on at once on the screen, right? See, I'm fighting the enemies, Saul's holding them down, we're all killing them. The magic animations look great, too. I was really enjoying those, and you'll see some of those as we progress. But the cutscenes fade in and out pretty well. I wouldn't call them full-on cutscenes, but you see that there's more characters entering the screen at one point. Now these are the name Sir Parialti, and he's like one of the knights of... I'm not really sure. There wasn't too much of a explanation when they came here, but they're survivors from the Wyrm. Now you see here, this is going to be the first boss fight. Now, I really didn't know how the boss fights would handle, but you can definitely tell they're epic. And this is what I mean with Shadow of the Colossus-like stuff. They're big, bad bosses. Really big, bad bosses. And they have certain mechanics to take them down. For example, this mystical beast is called a Chimera. Now, the Chimera is a combination of multiple animals, and this one is a combination of a lion, a goat, which I thought was pretty interesting, and a snake. You see the snake tail. And it's very difficult to kill at the beginning, putting us to sleep, tearing us apart, throwing us around. And you see another magical animation there. That's actually a healing animation, where they were healing me up. So, I mean, everything looks visually good. Now, here it kept telling me about my health gauge and all that jazz. And also kept telling me, you know, grab onto the Chimera. And I was like, what? And this is where I really felt Shadow of the Colossus like. You can jump and then right trigger grab on at the cost of some of your stamina and actually grab onto these enemies and walk on them and kill them. And that's the most efficient way to do it, as you see me trying to do here and there. But they can throw you off very easily. So I grabbed on like the hindquarters, you know, I was trying to climb up. And you see my allies doing it too. And this is the best way to kill some of these beasts, especially with specifics. For example, with the Chimera, and if you haven't played the demo, I hope this kind of helps you out, because you'll see that I was fighting this guy for a pretty long time. But with the Chimera, you have to kill the snake, the goat, and then the lion. And it has multiple health bars, you can see in the top there in the purple. But after you kill the snake, it knocks it down, so then you can start whacking away at the goat ahead of it, right? But I thought it was really interesting and really comparable to Shadow of the Colossus. Now, honestly, I had not expected to buy this game, but I'm having second thoughts. This is very impressive, and I'm interested to see kind of what the reviewers say about it before I make a purchase. But really interested with the game and the mechanics. It felt like a combination of Resident Evil, Shadow of the Colossus, and some RPG stuff that I've seen in some games like Skyrim, which is really cool. So anyway, we're all trying to climb on this thing and fight, and we just keep getting destroyed. There's really nothing we can do. Now, honestly, I just had no idea what was going on. I got put to sleep there again. Saul got put to sleep. But you'll notice that it seems very team-oriented. Now, you can do... I'm pretty sure this is just normal difficulty, and there'll be harder difficulties. But it seems very team-oriented in the fact that me and Saul kind of try to keep its attention while our mage is healing us and trying to keep it from casting its spells to put us to sleep. While our ranger's trying to kill the goat, right? So, I don't know. It just felt interesting how these team mechanics came up. Which makes me wonder, is the multiplayer element going to be really cool? Because it did put a big emphasis on your name and the monk your name. So I think it'd be awesome if you had you and 3 other friends just tearing through this stuff, right? Now you notice the slow motion kill cams. They aren't really kill cams, but so much of special cams, so to speak. While I'm riding this goat's head, it zoomed out and went on some of Morgana's spells, which was pretty cool. But these kill cams are going to go across all characters, kind of making it pretty interactive. Now you see here, I start to get the idea of what's going on. I'm trying to jump on and grab the beast to slay it. And then we finally got the goat there, so the goat's dead. I thought it was kind of funny because the head's just hanging on there. But the Chimera is slowly going down, so the more you kill a boss, the more phases of a boss you kill, the easier it's going to be to finish them off. And this is finally that point where I started to get onto what was going on, and I really didn't know what was going on with my shield and sword here. You see they're kind of flaming orange. I'm assuming that's kind of like a bonus the more and more you kill of a boss. So it's interesting. Now, one thing I do want to point out, you saw I gained 7,700 XP there when I did kill the boss. Now, it doesn't drop any loot or anything like that. It just kind of zooms me out of the game and goes on to say, now choose, talk about the game, and then it will say, arise, and then it'll give you the release date of the game. But there was really no loot, so I wonder how the loot system works. If there is a loot system, based on the inventory system, I'm assuming it's going to be like Resident Evil, so I'm hoping that there will be loot. But they really didn't have too much of that in this demo. So you see here at 5/2012, which means the month of May, and it says Arise. Now, I gotta admit, this game's kind of interested me, so to speak. It wasn't what I thought, and you'll see here when I go into the countryside quest, it really wasn't what I thought. It's very action-oriented, very action-oriented. And I was not expecting this out of Dragon's Dogma. To be honest, I didn't even take the title very seriously. But this part was my favorite part of the demo, and I actually plan on going back and replaying it after I finish some work later this evening. This part was awesome because you're actually in an open area, and it showcases the open areas of Dragon's Dogma. And you see there that there's the castle. Now, it wouldn't let me walk in the castle because it said you can't explore past a certain subset in the demo. But you see here, I'm my main character now, and then I have Avi 2 there, which looks kind of bad. But my main character was a ranger. And so she's got the lighter armor, the 2 daggers, and the bow. And then I also have my mage here. And I looked to go to the bow skills. You actually use LB to ready your bow, which works pretty well. That way you can switch consistently between your bow and your daggers on and off. And it sounds pretty sketchy at first, but it's actually a very smooth and easy flowing system. Now you see I'm using all my different abilities with the bow. You have full blend, triad shot, and then cloudburst volley. Now the full blend adds a fire effect to my arrows for a short period of time. The triad shot is going to add a huge damage bonus to my arrow and a huge speed bonus to my arrow. And then and then there's the big boss. This is the second boss. We'll talk about him in a minute here. And then Cloudburst Volley is going to put 4 or 5 arrows on my bow and allow me to shoot. So this is the second big boss, and this is one I was extremely impressed about. After we finish off the goblins, this giant griffin came down. Now, the griffin's fighting mechanics were awesome because I'm sitting here the whole time thinking, okay, well, I should probably be arrow shooting this guy. But my team really wasn't doing much, so I was kind of confused as to what was going on. Now, it's interesting in the sense of combat mechanics. The griffin will come down and try to grab you. And you'll find out later here, I actually jump on the griffin, and it gets extremely intense, which is what I enjoyed about it so much. But the griffin will try to headbutt you and stay in the air. Now you see here I'm like, okay, well maybe I can run to the castle, but it tells me I can't go that far in the demo version. So I'm assuming that some of the terrain will actually help you take down these bosses, especially at earlier stages like this. So you see I get stunned there, Avi 2, my buddy, gets stunned, and the healer gets us back up. So healers are obviously going to be extremely important in this game. But I'm trying to find out where the griffin went, and there it is again. And obviously you can heal teammates, as I just did there with Avi 2, just to get them back up. It's kind of like a revive system. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here, and the griffin's coming around for another pass. So I whip out the bow and try the, you see there's the triple shot. Now that'll throw a ton of arrows down. It's the Cloudburst Volley is technically its term. But I just enjoyed how fast-flowing the combat was. And you guys can see it's extremely fast-flowing. I was kind of sitting here like, wow, this is really cool. I was enjoying the archer. And I normally don't because I'm a melee combat kind of guy. but I was getting a kick out of the archer. See, the Griffin comes down for me and hits me hard with wing burst, so I'm trying to get healed here, and Alexandria is healing me. I noticed it did help to hit the help me button on the D-pad, you know, and they'd throw some heals on you. You see, I hit it a few times there, and now I'm starting to get heals, so make sure to do that. But I'm waiting for the Griffin, and then I finally start to figure out that I can jump on it. Now, your teammates are actually able to help you out in these situations. You see here I try the triad shot out, and that's the triad shot right there. But your teammates are actually really helpful in these situations. You'll see why later in this fight, but I'm just trying to get that thing down right now. And I try to climb up atop to see if I can get a better vantage point here, but I really don't think you're going to be able to climb too much unless it's pretty stagnant, you know, where they'll have stairs or some way for you to get up personally. You see it lands, tries to kill me there, and this is where I jump onto it. Now, this is awesome. Once I jumped on, my team kind of picked up the idea that I needed help. So I'm stabbing the bird in the back, and Alexandria throws up a fireball. And this knocks the thing straight out of the sky, which was just awesome. This is an epic point. I was like freaking out when I was recording this. And you see now it's on the ground, it's on fire, and we just start beating on it while it's trying to recover. So there's obviously going to be different mechanics for different bosses that people are going to have to figure out. And I really enjoyed that. Now, you know, my other big question is, we saw the dragon at the beginning. I did not get to fight it, but are we going to be fighting these kinds of bosses all the time? Like, are these some of the smaller bosses that they let us experiment with? Or are we going to be, you know, are these the big bosses? That's going to be a deciding factor for me, because if there are some bigger bosses like that dragon and stuff, multi-phased fights and everything, I will be so excited for this. So, just a little word for the wise there. But now I've figured out what's going on, so I'm starting to hammer this Griffin. The second it lands, I'm trying to jump on it. And here you see one of that companion actions. Alexandria says, or excuse me, Abby 2 says, I'll throw you up. He actually catapults me off of his sword, which I thought was epic, onto the beast. And then Alexandria throws another fireball, and we take it down the second time. And we just start wrecking it. And this is actually where we end up destroying the beast, which is awesome. So, Dragons Dogma, extremely interesting. A game that I really recommend you guys check out. The demo's free on the Xbox Live and PSN Marketplace. I'm not sure if it's on the PC or not, but you should be able to find it on the Steam Workshop. And check it out and tell me what you think of Dragons Dogma. Did it actually surprise you as it surprised me? Feel free to post a comment below. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. And if you'd like me to buy and cover this game, I'd be more than happy to. So if you want me to buy and cover this game, if you have some interesting opinions or try the demo for yourself, feel free to post a comment below. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, and I'd be happy to talk more about Dragons Dogma. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you will like and subscribe for more commentary, demo gameplay, arcade antics shows, my new show, as well as some more demo analysis and commentary. Thanks, guys. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.